Hello, hello. Let's see. All right. Everybody hear me out there? Loud and clear. Let's get this show started. Hello, friends. Uncle Marv here with another episode of the IT Business Podcast, your show for all things technology as it relates to managed service providers and IT professionals. We provide tips and stories. We talk with peers and have conversations with vendors, all in an effort to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. You have listened and have arrived at the Wednesday live show. Today is Wednesday, January 25th. I am going solo tonight. I originally was scheduled to be up in Orlando at another conference, but I ended up canceling that. And the wife is all happy because now that means I am free to go on a cruise this weekend. So that is what we are looking forward to. So this show may be a little short because I need to head back to the house. I've got to pack. Apparently, I've got to try on swim trunks. I've got to get some dress clothes for the cruise dinner, all that good stuff. So she is way too excited to be going on a cruise. Actually, it's something she's been waiting for a long time. I will talk more about that later because it is a client that is paying for this cruise for us. And I don't want to talk ill of the cruise before we get on it, but it should be a good time. So this week I thought, well, let me go ahead and not try to cram a guest down your throats, but let me do something that I had promised to do a while back, and that was to talk about my new tool provided by NetAlly, which is the AirCheck G3 Pro. This is the handheld Wi-Fi analyzer. It is an upgrade to the previous models. There was the original AirCheck and the AirCheck 2. This model here is completely Wi-Fi 6 capable. It's got a native built-in Wi-Fi tester, so I'll talk a little bit about that. For those of you that are new to the show, you want to head over to itbusinesspodcast.com. That is where you can find out anything that you need about the show. You can go back and see previous shows, both audio and video. You can submit questions, comments, show suggestions there. And whenever we do things that are a little bit different, I will put them up there, such as our holiday show that we did at the end of the year. I want to remind everybody that as you're paying attention and listening to shows this year, the one thing that we started at the end of last year was to provide a gift at the end of the year to the best show, the best guest. And we may do some interesting little things this next year, but that's going to be up to you, the listener. So if you have any ideas on what else we should be doing, please send me your comments and suggestions on that. I do want to say that after last week, the show got bum rushed by Matt Scully, who is the channel chief at Red Store. And he asked me that if the New York Giants won their game, he would expect a dedicated show all to the New York Giants. And I told him it wasn't going to happen. And what do you know? It did not happen. The New York Giants got embarrassed by the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Matt Scully, you are on the clock because now you need to come on the show and we will do something. And I won't, I'm not going to try to embarrass you too much. We'll talk a little bit about, the meltdown of the Giants, but we'll talk about Red Store as well. We'll talk about how life is treating you. But you are on the clock, along with Rob Ray. We are still waiting the announcement of where Rob Ray will end up this year in the channel. I did reach out to him, as I always do, and as per usual, he gave me the proverbial nothing yet. So the watch for Rob Ray is still on, and we are hoping to have him on the show once the decision is made and he can make that big announcement here on the show. So because I'm running solo, I am going to depend on you in the chat, if you are watching live, to step in, ask questions, be respectful. But as I go through the presentation, this is going to be kind of like a mini demo. It is not a full-blown product review or anything like that you see on the YouTube. This is just me telling you, hey, I got a new tool. I've used it for a few weeks now. Let me tell you what I think. And of course, you know that I am a huge NetAlly fan ever since the days of Fluke. For those of you that do not know the story, when I got started, one of the big problems I had was fighting with cable techs after they would install cable and there would still be issues on the network. And I could find nothing wrong with the computer. I could find nothing wrong with the server. Every now and then we would find an issue with the cable. And I was frustrated because some of the cable vendors would have these little $30, $40 testers from Home Depot and Lowe's. And I said, that doesn't cut it. So I researched and found the Fluke tools, which were much too expensive for me at the time. So I bought an inexpensive, but better than the Home Depot tools. Cost me about $1,100. And that got me started on cable testing. And then Fluke and NetScout started to introduce these handheld testers. And these are much more than cable testers. Now, they're not certifiers or anything like that, but they will give you a true basic cable test. Well, not this one, but all of the other tools. But what they'll also do is discover and validate your networks. And that's what this is here. This will validate your Wi-Fi network and now does Wi-Fi 6. So you're probably wondering, Marvin, tell me right away, right now, what does this tool do and why do you like it so much? Well, let me first say this. As you can see, it is a very small, well, I shouldn't say small, it fits in the palm of my hand. And some of the testers are pretty big, they're heavy. This one is not. And it's pretty good. Now, those of you that know me also know that I have something called the Etherscope, which is about twice the size of this. Most of the Etherscope features and functionality is actually in the AirCheck 3, and we'll go into that now. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and you'll see it start up here. If you're not watching the video, please head over to the show page. There will be a link to the video. I will try to audibly describe as much as I can so that you won't feel out of touch as you're following along. Maybe you're in the car in the morning or something like that. But the tool does take a little time to power up, probably about 30 seconds. And when it comes up, I'm actually going to show you the first thing that I like about this tool. And actually, while we're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the website so that I can show you. And we are live. So, of course, this is going to look ridiculously slow. So when you get a NetAlly product, you actually can sign up for something called a Link Live account. And Link Live actually comes free with a NetAlly account. And I'm going to actually share this screen here. And Mozilla. There we go. So that way you'll see as I go through exactly what I'm doing. So that is not the one I want to show because that is something I'm going to talk about later. So let's go back and do this again. And no, I'm not going to edit this out because I'm not a YouTuber. If I could only see this. Okay. There we go. So this is my Link Live account. So the first thing I do want to show you is that I've got all my units that I have up here, but at the very end, the AirCheck G3, and inside the Link Live portal, and I'm not going to go into the Link Live portal. I just quickly want to show you this to show that there's this little option over here called remote. Now, when I turned on my Link Live unit, I mean my G3 unit, I didn't really do anything, but right away, one of the first things that can happen is you can establish a remote connection directly to the unit. Previously, you had to install real VNC and you had to do a bunch of stuff like that, which you can still do on a local network. So if you don't want to go to Link Live, you can install real VNC, find out the IP address of the unit, and connect into it that way. There's a utility where you can find out the IP address of the unit. If you don't have something in your network that will scan like a Domotes and tell you, hey, a new device is on the network, here's what it is, and here's all that information. So that is the unit there. And let me go ahead and go back and close out these screens. And go there. So that is the first thing. So if you, for whatever reason, had to send a technician or you had to go to another side of the office, leave your tester at a desk or something like that, you could go to another computer and remote in and do everything that I'm going to show you right now. So that's probably the first thing that I like it is that the remote feature is easy, simple, and connected pretty fast. And as you can see, it's actually pretty smooth. The first thing that comes up with the tester that you really want to pay attention to with all of the NetAlly products is something called the auto test. And so when I open that up, you are able to configure profiles. And these are the profiles that I have used over the last few weeks. Now, it comes with a basic Wi-Fi profile, and then you can set up your own profiles to whatever Wi-Fi connection you find. Now, you ask, what if you don't know what the profiles are? Well, if you go into another feature in here called Discovery, when you turn on your NetAlly, it is actually going to start scanning the environment. And actually, let me go back. You want to go to Wi-Fi. How about if we do it that way? So say you don't know. So you open up Wi-Fi. Now you can already see that it's going to give you a channels map, and you can see the activity that is happening right now, both on the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz networks. You can see what channels are active, and it gives you a color code to where you can see the traffic, you can see retries, access points, clients, and illegal is basically interference and things of that nature. You can also see where your channel is in regards to anything else it finds. So it gives you overlapping SSIDs. But what I really want to go to is what you can see in here is the ability to look at not only the channels map, the active channels, but SSIDs. So in the environment that you're in, you can immediately start to see which SSIDs are active. And they'll tell you by the lock, whether it's a green lock or a red lock, and it'll tell you, hey, these are the active Wi-Fi Ssids in your environment. And you can see the signal strength over to the right. I don't think this is big enough to show you here, but that's where I go first, and you can see all of the things around you, whether they're neighbors, Xfinity. Comcast has a real joy turning on their Wi-Fi, even if you don't want it. Somebody renamed theirs "Get Your Own Wi-Fi," and I don't know who Kevin Cruz is. Probably one of the neighbors, but all of that is there. So that's a good thing there. So if we go back to the auto test, and I'm going to stick on my environment here. Once I put in the password for the Wi-Fi, I can just simply hit start to do an auto test. And you can see that it will go through and attempt 6 tests to connect to the Wi-Fi and validate your speeds and all of that stuff. So there it is. It is now connected. It is telling me that it is connected to channel 36. It actually gives me the IP address of the access point that it connected to. Tells me what IP address it was given, the DHCP, DNS, and the gateway there. And as you can see on the second tab here in B Systems, it will tell us the signal strength, the speed that is possible. This is not the actual speed, but my Wi-Fi currently right now is capable of 866.7 megabits. Tells me the access point, and you can start to see results in terms of an ongoing signal test with noise, and the signal to noise ratio gives me the utilization of the network. And this is something that I really like. It talks about retries. Now, in every environment, you're going to have retries. And you may think that if you're going to do your simple Wi-Fi test from your phone or your tablet, even with something like Wi-Fi Man or Dr. Wi-Fi, you're not going to get the retry packets. And that's where, you're not going to get that solid stream of connectivity as you would with a wired connection. So this is telling you how often the Wi-Fi signal has to be retried. Now, as long as you're under, I think it's about a 20-25%, you're going to be good. But if you've got an environment where people are complaining that they're not able to connect and you think you've got good access in there, this is something you may want to look at, because there might be interference that will cause a ton of retries. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but this is something that very quickly, very easily, you're going to see if you've got issues there. Now, the next thing that I like is if you connect to a private Wi-Fi. I mentioned that all of the features of the Etherscope, well, not all, but most of them are here. So when I come into the environment, I can see other devices on the network. And I can see that I've got a Brother printer there. And it will tell me what VLAN it's connected to. It tells me that it's got 2 interfaces. If there's SNMP enabled, it'll tell me how long it's been up. All of that stuff. I've got a Dado 8-port switch here. I can actually see into the Dado switch. I can see the ports. I can see that this particular device has actually 37 devices connected to it. And I think I just lost the server disconnection because I'm looking at the monitor and you guys are not with me here. So let me hit reconnect and go back out. And if I lost some of you, I apologize. Okay, so we're back. So let me step back just a little bit. So where I was talking about the features of the Etherscope that I like that are also here in the AirCheck. In this discovery feature that I brought up earlier, I mentioned that if you connect to the private Wi-Fi that is connected to the LAN, you can also start to see devices that are on the LAN. So I've got my switches, my Brothers, there's my Dado. These deal devices, I just reviewed those a couple of weeks ago. Those are the Wi-Fi speakers that Akash Vinod put on an indie campaign. There's my server, my station, my Synology. So all that's there. And what I was starting to show before I saw that the screen had stopped is inside the Datto. Yes, I have a Datto 8-port switch here. I can not only see the VLANs that are active on it, but I can actually dive into the ports and I can see devices, what VLANs are assigned, and which devices are actually connected to that particular port. Now, that port is also connected to Wi-Fi, so that's why there's 37 devices, because trust me, I don't have 37 staff people here, but all of the Wi-Fi stuff is there. There's some ingenious access points that I'm testing, and it gives me the statistics, so the utilization, discards, and errors. Again, all things that you want to be able to use and troubleshoot a network, to where if somebody's saying, hey, Wi-Fi is not working here, you just go to where they say it's not working, run this test, use this AirCheck, and you'll be able to do that. So that is, I think, a very basic overview. Now, there's a ton of stuff in here, and obviously I'm not going to go into everything here, but there is this app store, and it is available on the Etherscope, the Link Runner. There are, I believe, over 120 apps that are available here, so that if you want to go in and download Adobe, Angry Port Scanner, if you use Aruba, Ruckus, Cisco stuff, all of these apps can be downloaded and put onto the AirCheck so that you can use them. So something as simple as speed test, if you want to be able to run a speed test from the AirCheck, you can do that, and also validate the speed that is being reported there. So, and then the last thing I just want to say, well, there's two things. One is there's a feature in here called AirMapper. And AirMapper is if you have a floor plan of a building and you need to do a Wi-Fi survey, you can upload the floor plan, walk around with your AirCheck, and mark off what your signals are around that office. I don't have any uploaded here, so I can't show you. A lot of these things I'm going to try to do a more advanced show on later. But one of the things that actually I got to come with the AirCheck is I got this, which is a spectrum analyzer device. And if you can see, this literally plugs into the USB port of the AirCheck. And this will allow me, and I'm going to go back here, to run a spectrum analysis of the environment. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be able to go into a ton of stuff here, but if you want to get a true sense of your environment, being able to actually run a spectrum analysis is going to be huge. And you can run it on just the frequency spectrum. You can do a waterfall, which, as I'm learning about this, if there is interference, you're going to see where that interference is. And with training, you can actually start to learn what the interference is. I don't know any of that just yet, but I know that when the time comes for me to do it, I'll be able to learn. And then there is a real time, which I don't know what this means. But I know that if I need to do a spectrum analysis, the AirCheck G3 will do it. These things are also available on the Etherscope. The Etherscope obviously costs a lot more. But there is your spectrum analysis. And you can actually do this on either the 2.4 gigahertz band. You can switch it to the 5. And you'll see the difference in the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz, a lot less traffic on the 5 gigahertz channel here. So those are some of the features that I think are really going to come in handy for me with the AirCheck 3. Now, what do I not like? Well, it's interesting. Let me go ahead and turn this off here as I disconnect the thing, and you don't need to see that anymore, so I'll remove that. So the things that I don't like, obviously, I've gotten used to the Etherscope, which is the full version of this. So this is Wi-Fi only. So you need to have either the Link Runner G2 or the Etherscope or even the Link Sprinter if you want to do any sort of physical cable check. So don't think that you're going to get this and because you can connect to the LAN through the Wi-Fi, it is going to do all the stuff you want to do. It is not, because it is not going to give you a full sense of a throughput test to the LAN or anything like that. Now you can do that with iPerf. iPerf is on here. So if you put an iPerf device, you can, get a sense of the Wi-Fi traffic using the iPerf, but you're not going to be able to do anything on the local LAN. You can do some other type of testing with, pings and path analysis. But again, because you're on the Wi-Fi, you're not going to get the full sense of what's happening on the network. So that's probably the first thing that I would say about it. The other thing that I think, and this is probably just me, is that while it gives you a lot of data and it gives you a lot of stuff, it is not easy to understand. For instance, the spectrum analyzer, I have no idea what that means. So I actually have to go and find somebody to train me on that and learn about it. There's no way to simply, go into a client environment, plug this in, and show it to them other than the original auto test where you can show them that, and this is not going to be a good way to do this, but what you're going to get on the screen, actually, let me pull this back up because I can show you here. So if you're watching again, I apologize. I mean, if you're listening, I apologize. So let me bring this back up here. So if you're looking at the screen and you see the test that I've done, if everything is green, then all is well. You can go to the client and say, look, everything is green here, so that means it must be good. That always doesn't mean something to the client. If I were to go to a different Wi-Fi, which I do have another one here. I've got about 4 or 5 different access points because one of the reasons I am happy I got this is that I'm testing different units. Ruckus is my go-to when it comes to access points. And right now my backup is Datto because Datto purchased CloudTrax, or no, Open Mesh. CloudTrax was the app that they use. So I'm actually testing some ingenious access points. And this SSID that I'm showing right now, Seafarers Admin, also comes up green. And this is a true Wi-Fi 6 access point ingenious model. So again, if it's all green, there really isn't any way for you to go in and show why it's green. But if there are problems, and obviously I didn't prepare or else I would have created a Wi-Fi system with problems where I could show you where if something was a problem, it would show a yellow screen and it would tell you why it's yellow. We would say something to the effect of too many retries or wasn't able to connect. There's a question here in the chat. Do they offer training tutorials to the more advanced features if you buy one? So the short answer to that is no. And when I say no, there are videos that you can go and see. You can go to netally.com, you can go to their YouTube channel, and you can watch some videos. And they're basically people like me. And then there are people like Mike Panacki, who is much more of a guru in Wi-Fi. And Mike will have a ton of simple, quick videos. But to do the advanced training, you're going to have to sign up for a class. And Mike Panacki offers those classes. I don't know what the cost is. I don't know how often he does it, but he will do more advanced training with these tools. For the most part, you get a little tiny manual that just talks about how to go into each feature, but it doesn't show you how to truly walk into a client environment and use all of the features. So that's something that, as I learn more, I may team up with Mike and try to do some beginner training where we can talk about, okay, here's what the Wi-Fi spectrum analysis will do for you. Here's how to do a true throughput test. Those are things that I'm looking for. And one of the reasons that I was kind of looking forward to getting this. The other thing that, it's not necessarily a dislike of mine, but I think for people that want to question, Marvin, why would you spend that much money for a tool? Most of the stuff that can be done, I can do from my phone or my tablet. And the short answer is, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can be done from a phone or tablet. But to do the heavy testing, to do the uh, the floor plan analysis, you're going to have to purchase subscriptions with what is it, Ikahu or Akanahu? I don't know the name of it. You're going to have to buy tools that are several $1,000s. You're going to have to do subscriptions. So you're going to have to spend the money anyway. But most of those tools will only do one thing at a time. This will do all of that. Now, yeah, it's a hefty spend, and I'll put the link to the Amazon page if you want to get it on Amazon. If you want to get it through, I think Ingram Micro also have them. So if you are have a distributor account with Ingram Micro, you can get it there. If you want to purchase it through me, I am an actual reseller of NetAlly, so I can do that. And let me pull up here. Now, I'm going to put a couple of different links. I'm going to put only one in the chat right now, and it is to the simple page on Amazon that goes to everything. And it is the kit where you can buy, this is actually the G2. So let me actually go to the G3 one. Okay, so there's that. So on Amazon, that's not the one I want either. I'll find the right one and get it in the show notes. But I'll put this one in the chat for right now, just so that people can see the AirCheck G3 on Amazon right now. Now, this is the kit. So this will get you everything that I have shown you, which is the AirCheck G3, all of the accessories. Actually, I should try to show this on the camera here so we can do that. And I can't tell what Amazon I'm looking at. I'll just go to screen 2. So this is the AirCheck G3 Pro kit. So on Amazon right now, the entire kit. Now you can buy just the unit separately, but the kit will come with, a nice little bag which you can't see. I have it hanging up behind me. It comes with a holster. It actually comes with a test accessory. The spectrum analyzer device that I was connecting to it, there is a larger analyzer, and I don't know much about that tool as well, and the power adapters, and you can see the tiny little manual that comes with it. So the unit, and for those that are watching the video, that shows you how you can use the AirMapper feature with a floor plan and map out your signal zones throughout a office. So you just walk around and click a button and it'll map out what your signal strength is there. So that's the link there. Again, you can get just the unit itself. And right now, I should probably go ahead and mention that you can, if you already have an AirCheck G2, there is a loyalty program upgrade that for a limited time, if you are a AirCheck G2 owner and you have an you have an active Ally Care. Sorry, I was looking for the word there. So if you have an active Ally Care, which is their support package, you get a 10% off of the retail, and you can sign up here to take advantage of going from the AirCheck G2 to the AirCheck G3. So I will also put a link in the chat for that. And I will find the short link. Because the link here is long, but I will put that in the chat so that you can go that. But that is the link to the loyalty program if you want to get the 10% discount. So some of the other features that come with it that I did not mention because I have not worked with them, not only will it test your Wi-Fi, but it will test Bluetooth BLE. I have no idea what BLE is. You can do baselining. You can get, well, I showed you the connection signal information, the channel information map. And this is supposed to be able to dig deep into the Wi-Fi 6 stuff. One thing that I did not go over, you can actually capture packets and do analysis if you want to download them and go into Wireshark or something like that. But it's a big deal. And the reason I think this is a big deal to get a true Wi-Fi 6 tester is all of the previous testers can't, they can probably detect the Wi-Fi 6, but they can't truly test the speeds. And for those of you that don't know, Wi-Fi 6, even though Wi-Fi 7 is coming, Wi-Fi 6 offers faster connection speeds. And the biggest thing is it could be up to 75% less latency with improved traffic prioritization, and should allow more people to be connected to an access point than previous. So you know that if you hit a certain number of people trying to get on there, it's going to clog up no matter how much you try to throttle the bandwidth. But Wi-Fi 6 is supposed to be much better at that, and the latency is probably the biggest thing in Wi-Fi 6 along with that. So that's all I'm going to do on that. I'm probably bored half of you, lost some of you, but if you want to know more about that, just reach out to me and let me know, and I will try to do a better job of coming up with some short little demo type videos where we'll go through the features that I use. I showed you the ones that I use on a regular basis. I use them on the AirCheck, but I also use them on the Etherscope as well. So that is that. So that's my tool. And I'm trying to think, there was something else that I was going to say that I didn't like, but I can't remember. So if I remember, I will either add it to the end of the show, or I'll bring it up next time. But as I look at this, I mean, it's a nice little tool. All right. So I think that's going to do it for me tonight. Let's see here. Oh, let me go ahead and tell you guys the Florida man story. So this was updated today. It was first published yesterday, but it was from an event that happened back on January 14th. A Florida man set his apartment on fire as revenge against his HOA, then shot himself. So, a Central Florida man is accused of intentionally setting his apartment on fire because he was upset with the homeowners association. That fire led to an explosion with injuries and damages. Mark Herman, who is 53 and lives in Longwood, Florida, that is up near Orlando. Basically, I'm skipping a whole bunch of stuff here. They even give his address, 265 Crown Oaks Way in Longwood. When they asked about the injuries, he had blood had been caused by a gun. He said that the management company was responsible for what happened. He started the fire in an act of revenge. Days before, a judge denied Herman's request to reverse a foreclosure on his home, which he has lived at for 25 years. Now, the foreclosure also included court records and discovered a dispute that started in 2017. Herman owed the HOA thousands of dollars in unpaid fees to the Springs. The HOA eventually filed a lien and decided to foreclose on Herman's property in order to pay off the amount of money owed. Now, you ask, how much money did he owe? $82,000. So in January, a judge denied his request not to auction off his home. Now, in the neighboring houses, 2 residents were inside. One resident who lived below escaped out her front door but had to dodge flaming debris. The other resident said the explosion threw him into his closet. He tried to exit the apartment through the front door, but because of the smoke, had to exit through the second-story balcony. 3 apartments were impacted by the fire. So that is your Florida man update. Of course, there's more. There's actually an alligator story for Chad, but I'm reading a comment in the chat. Marv, you could have given that man a job. No, I don't think so. All right. As I mentioned, this was a solo show tonight because I originally had planned to be in Orlando at a conference. I am not. So I'm here and I need to go home and get ready for my cruise. In the future, be looking forward to, I have an interview upcoming with Jay McBain from Canalys, and we are going to get an update on Jay's state of the channel. And we're also going to talk about his world tour because he did a lot of traveling in a couple of weeks. So we're going to talk about that. I have an upcoming show with a new company that well, they're not new, but they're new to me, a company called Dynatrace. And Dynatrace is a cloud-based platform that provides observability, AI, automation, and application security in one package. And basically what they do is they do monitoring of AWS, Azure, Google, and much more. So we're going to talk about that and learn a little bit about cloud monitoring. That's all something that we're going to be having to do ourselves as we migrate our clients to the cloud. Upcoming shows also include visit back from Bobby G, the gentleman that I had on last week from Proper. He is the author of the book Build Your Brand Like You Give a Shit. I've got Colin Knox from Gradient. And next week on the live show, where are my notes? I am so not into it today. I apologize, folks. I had a long day. I was in Miami today, and many of you know how I just love going to Miami. And then, of course, I got out late. I had to set up 3 new computers, move 2 people. And this is a client that they're not really my client. They are a company that I sub for. And I had to listen to the managing partner there complain about their 365 and how slow it's been over the last week, and why he thinks that their VPN connection up to Massachusetts might be slow, and wanted to know if I could help him troubleshoot it. So that was fun. Yes, next week, and I'm sorry if he hears this, he'll yell at me, but Tim Golden with Compliance Risk is going to be back on the show next week for our live Wednesday event. So those are the things to look forward to. I will be giving you an update on my cruise. I am going on the Royal Caribbean. It is a 4-day, 3-night cruise. No, is that right? Friday, Saturday. Yeah, we leave Friday afternoon and come back Monday morning, early Monday morning. 7 a.m. I think we get, or 6 p.m. we get into port, 7 a.m. 6 a.m. into port, 7 a.m. we got to be off the boat. And then I will be driving back to Lauderdale. So that's going to do it, folks, for this episode. Thank you very much for hanging in there. Those of you that were in the live show, those of you listening and you made it to the end, thank you as well. I apologize again that this is such a video heavy show, but when I do these little mini demos, I'm trying to show the product. So I will have the video link up there so you can go. I will have everything in the show notes with the proper links that you can go and see the product. You can look up the AirCheck G3 information. You can purchase it on Amazon if you want. You can contact me with questions and comments. That is it. Thank you, guys. Let me end off here. Say good night. And until next time, holla.